Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 538, the LIV Golf Experience. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. I've recovered from my mixed weekend, some disappointments, some fun St. Patrick's Day, a disappointing Sunday with the FA Cup result with Blackburn, but yeah, no, things are going pretty well.
A fun St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I had a good St. Patrick's night out. Went to a couple of bars, kind of usual sorts of places, but I had a nice, fairly tame, nothing too wild. Although I did meet up with a former colleague of mine. Okay, I'll throw this category. This is like a Vasilis-esque anecdote, I guess. It won't maybe be quite as satisfying to the listeners. But we were out, and I hadn't seen him in person since before the pandemic. I've spoken to him, we've like texted and stuff since then, but this is the first time seeing him in person for 3 years, basically. And I was kind of catching up on how things are going, on how, major life events and stuff like that. And he's been in a relationship. He's been married as long as I've known him. And so I said, how's married life? And he told me, yeah, it's going pretty well. We've switched though. We're now in a kind of like semi-open relationship. And there's this couple that we swap with. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I was like, how does this work? I was like, do you all get together in the same place? Is it like a foursome?
Is there a contract?
Yeah.
Is there an agreement?
Is there a foursome? Is it like one of you go and you like swap beds for the night? Kind of, like she goes and stays with the guy, and the other wife comes and stays with you for an evening.
Is it like TLC wife swap where
Exactly.
you get the whole weekend and you have to like clean the laundry and stuff?
I was intrigued by the logistics, and he was like, "Well, we've never done the full swap thing." He's like, "So far, it's just been sometimes he comes over, and then we have threesomes with him." And I was like, "Okay." And then I was like, is that it then in your open relationship? And he was like, "Oh no, there is also another guy who my my wife brings over sometimes when she's been out for nights." And then same thing, we all have some fun together. And then he walked away to order another drink. It was me and another guy sitting there, and the other guy.
And it was just you and the wife.
And we just kind of made some eye contact, and we were like, at what point do we tell him this isn't really couple swapping or an open relationship? This is just his wife potentially cheating on him, but also just wanting to bring other people into their relationship.
Well, I mean, it is an open relationship. It's just a one-sided open door.
But
one, and two, there's no swapping.
No, the swapping was definitely not happening. But also, I mean, he was telling the anecdote, like one of them with one of the guys, the way it had started was that his wife had been out for a night and brought this guy back to like drunkenly brought the guy back to their house. He was asleep in bed. He got out of bed, annoyed with like the noise. And then when he came out, she then sort of instigated the group aspect. It was like, I think if you'd never woken up, your wife would have just cheated on you. Like this is...
But it's an open relationship. She's allowed to.
No, I guess that's true. But yeah. It's always weird when it's the open relationship, but one of only...
Eddie, get out of the 19th century, Eddie.
It's true. I know. My mind, I got such an antiquated view of relationships. But to me, it's more just the weird... I mean, I've had plenty of friends who've had open relationships before. And I do find there always seems to be an imbalance. Like one of them is really open, and then the other one's more relationship. Yeah, that was and then there was the lows of Blackburn in the FA Cup yesterday, which
that hurt.
It did.
Woke up early to watch it and everything.
I mean, they put in a good performance. It was an entertaining match, which I was just kind of pleased. once you slip down to the championship, you have so few moments when the club is kind of on a bigger stage, when there'll be
Yeah.
more eyeballs watching, and just in general, people paying.
Actual announcers who are like meaningful announcers.
Yeah, it's true.
Commentating on the match.
Yeah, and for a lot of people I know, that would have been the first Blackburn match that they may have watched in several years, and it's nice to then put in a good performance and to deliver a kind of entertaining style of football. And
for 2/3.
yeah, well, no, I mean it was a good performance up until the 80th minute, basically, but in some respects, that might be the ideal outcome because, I mean, Sheffield United later on were drawn against Manchester City, so that's just a guaranteed loss in the FA Cup semi-final. And so to take one match off of,
but you're at Wembley, right? That's the plus side, right?
Yeah, and
you made it to Wembley.
And Blackburn have never been to the new Wembley. They are one of, I think it's 6 clubs in the Football League to have yet to have made an appearance at the new Wembley.
But there's one better way to get there.
Yeah, the playoff final is the ideal way. I mean, look, if you told me that was going to, if that had been the semi-final and the FA Cup final was at stake, I would take the trip to Wembley and potential humiliation in a final, because also then you tell yourself, in a one-off match, anything could happen. Like Wigan beat Manchester City in the FA Cup,
like 2 red cards in the 70th minute.
Exactly. But the prospect of, okay, can you have the upset against Manchester City? Probably not, but let's just say everything went perfectly on the day. And then you probably have to go again against Manchester United in all likelihood. Maybe Brighton are quite capable of beating United, but probably against Manchester United. The odds of them beating both of those teams in consecutive matches, slim to none. So just not having the match and being able to focus exclusively on the league campaign and having one less match to play, it's probably for the best. And I think ultimately, from the team's perspective, Sheffield United are one of the better teams in the championship. That was a kind of playoff environment in a sense. That is the situation they'll face if they do make the playoffs. Sheffield United probably won't be in them because I expect they'll finish in the top 2. But they can take some heart from sort of, in a sense, having faced a test that is similar to what they'll have to go through in hopefully a few weeks' time.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing to watch, once they went up, and I thought this could be it.
Yeah, I mean,
I had my ticket half booked.
Yeah,
ready to go.
I was in the mindset when they were 2-1 up, when it was kind of 15 minutes to go. I was thinking about, I'm going to have to plan this trip. I'm going to have to get to London. I'm sure tickets will be relatively easy to come by, so that wasn't a major concern. But, I was, and part of me was thinking to myself, it's going to be a downer to go through all of that and then watch them lose 5-0 to Manchester City. Like that was, which I said to you in the time, and this is obviously before the draw had been made, but that was in the back of my mind of like, this is, there's going to be a lot of pain that goes into kind of organizing this to then potentially watch a complete humiliation. But, I think, as I said, hopefully I get to watch them at Wembley this season in a playoff final, and then hopefully they also win that. But we'll see.
Yeah, and then so it's, like you said, for the FA Cup, it's going to be City versus Sheffield and Brighton versus Manchester United after Fulham went down 2 men on a handball. You only usually lose 1, but then when your other teammate gets so fucking pissed off he can't take it, you lose a second.
I mean, technically, and their manager was sent off as well.
Yeah, the manager was sent off too.
They imploded, and within the space of 2 minutes, then had gone from being 1-0 up to 2-1 down. I mean, things really went wrong for them very, very quickly, and inexcusable from Mitrovic. That type of behavior. I'm glad he was sent off, because I think you could find other examples of people kind of manhandling referees and really behaving inappropriately.
Because thinking they're not going to get one just because one was just given.
Or just in general.
They can be a little overly aggressive.
Just in general, people, the standard of treatment towards referees. It bothers me that players openly swear at referees all the time. If I were a referee, I'd send you off the moment you told me to fuck off. After I awarded a free kick or didn't award a free kick, you'd be sent off. And the players I was refereeing would learn pretty quickly that
The Hewitt Law.
I mean, it's technically a law. You're not supposed to just swear at the referee, but we've just accepted at this point, the two, just in general, we have referees who speak, talk to the players and refer to them by their first names. That bothers me. And then they just can say pretty much whatever they want to the referees, and it goes totally unpunished. And I don't like it because it does set a bad example then for how younger people behave. But again, it seems like a little bit of an old man rant, but honestly, it does bother me. And since we last spoke, there was also the Champions League draw, which I guess, we were discussing draws quickly in European football. So that was last Friday, the draws for the Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference. Obviously, not too many shocks in any of those competitions, aside from Arsenal going out against Sporting to one of what will end up probably being one of the goals of the season, the equalizer for Sporting, a pretty incredible attempt from just inside the Arsenal half. But it's a mixed Champions League draw for me. It's like a draw that's delivered a couple of very good ties and then a couple of ties that just don't interest me really at all. So
is this Europa?
Yeah, a little bit. So I mean, City, Bayern, I think they're
classic.
I think they're the two best teams in Europe. So it's a little bit of a shame to have them facing off against each other in the quarterfinals. Real Madrid, Chelsea, you can get kind of interested in just because in recent seasons in Europe they've been good. They had a very good they had a very good European tie against each other in recent seasons. But you're talking about Real Madrid, who lost yesterday to Barcelona and are 12 points behind Barcelona, so they're not great. Chelsea aren't great, so it looks better on paper than it probably is in reality. Benfica, Inter Milan. Yeah, you could stick that in the Europa. You could stick that in the Europa League, and I wouldn't be.
You could stick that somewhere.
Yeah, and AC Milan, Napoli, like the all-Italian tie. It's not that exciting.
Hey, at least I can follow my rule pretty exclusively there of never betting on an Italian and just avoid that match completely.
I mean, you're gonna have to avoid half of the Champions League then, but I mean, and again, it's an interest. Like, it's tough because Napoli have been incredible so far this season, but I'm still waiting. I don't think there are that many good teams in Serie A, and they've yet to really face great teams in the Champions League. So I'm just sort of waiting to see when they get truly tested, and it doesn't seem like this will be. They probably won't be truly tested until the final, because the other downside is the draw then pits the winner of the City Bayern Munich match against the winner of Real Madrid Chelsea. So that's one half of the draw that's incredibly tough, and then on the other half, you might have Napoli playing Inter Milan or Benfica, and again there's a very realistic possibility of Napoli being in the Champions League final and having run away with Serie A, and yet still feeling like they haven't proven themselves. So I almost feel sorry for them, because it means unless they win the Champions League, people are going to poke holes in what they achieved this season. Whereas if they'd been drawn against even Real Madrid in this round and been able to beat Real Madrid, they could at least point to that as a kind of statement of their quality. But you'd expect they should beat AC Milan. They're miles better than the league. Why wouldn't they beat them in two legs?
Yeah. But it's interesting because it's a good, 3 Italian teams, 2 English clubs, and only 1 German and 1
And one
Club.
Spanish. Yeah. I mean, the having 3 Italian teams is the real stunner.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real, and I don't think we'll see that again anytime soon. So, for people trying to say this is some, and there are people out there, and I hate being one of those people who's saying there's some people saying, and you're not like pointing to specific people. It's just like big straw man argument, but there are people out there trying to argue that this kind of shows the Serie A is closing the gap on the Premier League. I don't think so. I think these are just some favorable draws,
Yeah.
some
Some random one-offs.
yeah, some underperformances, and next season we'll probably go back to seeing, a couple Spanish teams, a couple English teams, Bayern Munich, of course, and then maybe Napoli or Inter.
Well, Eddie, I guess since we're sticking on European football, I have, last week I gave you a little bit of a trivia, a little quiz on some of the top scorers, and I felt bad because as a hockey player, I'm a man of the assist. I prefer to set up the play than to score the goal. I like to be behind the scenes. So, a stat came out yesterday that there are only 5 players in the top leagues, in the top 5 leagues. So, pretty much the ones we just talked about, that have 10 goals and 10 assists this season. So, a little bit of an all-around player. Only one hails from the Premier League. Do you want to guess who that player is?
Oh, Saka?
Wow, nice guess. Yep, Saka has 12 goals, 10 assists. He's the only player in the Premier League to go 10 and 10 so far this year.
I've been doing well on
Nice
my
job.
guesses recently.
Yeah, very good.
I've been nailing it. Who are the other 4 recognizable names?
Yeah. They're all good players.
Okay. Well,
it's gonna be tough to not be a good player.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it is a kind of a decent way of refining their players.
The most recognizable ones would be Messi and Neymar are both on there.
Yeah, which is understandable. I mean, there's some players who would just never make that list, like Haaland never will.
Yeah.
I always like that's one of those fascinating statistics from Mario Balotelli, who in his, I think he was maybe at City for 4 seasons. In that time, he only had 1 assist, and the only assist he ever had was the Aguero last-minute winner against QPR to win the league. So that's the only assist he ever had during his stint at City, which is kind of remarkable. But
so this is something I don't know. Like in hockey, if you have a shot and there's a rebound and someone scores off the rebound, you get the assist.
Yeah,
is that the same or no?
No, you have to like
make it. It has to be a pass, right?
It has to be a pass. There's a little bit
of important pass, right?
Yeah, there's inconsistencies. Not an important pass. That's the thing. You can roll a ball.
So you can be last touch, like you can give it and they can go the entire distance and score.
No, I think there's some proximity element to it. But for example, you could just play a sideways 3-yard pass to someone who then knocks it in from 35 yards out, and you've got an assist. And it's not like you haven't created a goal scoring opportunity. And so there's a little bit. I've never totally understood exactly when it is an assist and when it isn't from like official statistical basis. The basis, I'm not even sure necessarily. It might be Opta who do it. I'm not really sure who. There's a little bit to me sometimes. Like in the NBA, it's like the home team scorer who.
Yeah.
And I always say that, and I say that as someone who grew up in Salt Lake City when I think John Stockton could like breathe on the ball, and they were giving him an assist. But there's sometimes I do think you get favored a little bit. Like I do think Messi probably gets an assist a bit more easily than some other players as to when they think, oh yeah, he played a crucial role in that goal. But I guess spent enough time there on my weekend and some European football. You had the more eventful weekend as you completely sold your soul and attended a LIV Golf event on Friday. How was the experience?
Yeah, so the LIV Golf Tour in Tucson. It was fun. it was not very crowded. I went on, so it's many differences, right, from the PGA Tour. The first being, which is a 3-day tournament, no cuts. So we went the first day, Friday. It was not very crowded. And from what I had heard, they had pretty undersold tickets and from what they were expecting. Now, this could just be because it's Tucson and you're not in a huge environment where other matches were in London, Miami, you're at much bigger cities.
That seems to be the case across the board everywhere they've been. I guess for some comparison, you recently attended the Champions Tour event or the Senior Tour.
Which is like the senior golf tour, yes.
What was the attendance like comparing those two golf events?
Good comparison, because I also went on a Friday of that tournament as well. And I think that's a 3-day tournament as well for the seniors. I think they only do 3. More people were attending the senior golf tour.
That's not a good sign.
Actually, wait, no, it's tough because in the areas where, like, I don't want to say VIP, but sections where you paid a premium to be like under a canopy or in a tent or overlooking a hole, I feel like there were probably more people at the senior tour. But on the course, there was a lot more people at the LIV. So I would say overall more people at the LIV. Like at the senior tour, if you weren't in one of those areas, I mean, there's like no one just on like the 14th watching someone tee off. Whereas here, I mean, there was people lining most of the holes that I walked by.
Okay. So are we saying within 10% though?
Close.
The overall attendance.
Let me put it this way. If you had told me that like a multiple major champion golfer was playing and this were the amount of people that were watching, I would have been shocked.
Okay. And if you were one of those golfers, you think this is a disappointing experience?
No, I think they're having a great time. The vibe I got was like, this is fucking awesome. Look at what we're doing here. We're getting paid millions of dollars. And there's literally like it's so different than the PGA because like one that the attire and just their general like
they wear shorts.
Yeah, like the one guy had on like the like classic guy millennial like short athletic shorts with the high black socks and like some funky shoes on, like whatever they want to wear, except the only thing that sucks is a lot of them wear their team polo.
I think
and the teams are just so dorky and the polos for the teams are so dorky.
So they don't all wear the team polos?
I don't think so.
Because that was
unless maybe they just have like different varieties of them, which it could be.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like everyone was wearing them, but maybe they were, and there was just like a few different ones for each team. But I mean, they have like so the one par 5 in the middle of the par 5 on the rough, there's just like a massive speaker playing music, like playing like AC/DC and stuff like that. Not for the attendees, for like it's like a player's thing, like it's pointed into the fairway, not away from the fairway. So just that kind of stuff was pretty weird. I have to say, I don't know why DeChambeau is doing it, because I feel the fans of the LIV Golf Tour are going to be a little more like rowdy, barstooly type of people. And the 2 holes I saw DeChambeau play, he was just getting torn apart. Like,
oh, really?
I heard Brooksy 7,000 times.
It's
like, it was as if instead of people doing like the wave, they were just doing Brooksy across the fans. Like, it was like, I heard so many people be like, another protein shake, you look like shit, blah, blah, blah. Like, just ripping. And it's not that many people, so you can hear everyone.
Because he's cut weight, right? Like, he's kind of given up on his bulk. His bulking phase is gone. So he's significantly smaller now than he was at one point. Was security stepping in to stop people from shouting those things?
No.
Okay.
No.
It is surprising. I mean, it is and it isn't. Part of me feels like if you're a LIV Golf supporter, you shouldn't be doing that, because it's kind of.
But I feel like, I think I think you feel like you should do that because this is like the like cool tour, like anything goes on this tour. Like, I could be a huge dick face, like. That's my right as a fan.
I guess, yeah, there is a certain element of that, but part of me feels like they should be, like it's so much us versus the PGA that
Yeah,
you'd think they'd be kind of getting behind all of those players. But I think the other risk is you're still going to have people turning up for live golf events who aren't really live golf fans. They're just people like
yeah,
you, where it's like, okay, there's a live golf event in my area. I'll go and check this out. And then if you're a bit more of a douche and you're doing that, you're then deciding to heckle
yeah.
players who've made the switch.
Yeah. So, and it was also weird for Bryson because the pairing was him, Kepka, and Dustin Johnson were playing together. Like, and that's going to happen, So, like, you're forced now to be playing with the one person you probably don't want to play with, and maybe now it's become a big farce. Like, maybe they're best friends. Who
Well,
knows?
with the shotgun start, I guess
That was the cool
they
thing.
choose that, I suppose. Because I guess if
I
you
don't know who chooses that.
because I feel like they're not in pairings. I feel like you can kind of I think they
It's
can
threesomes.
yeah, but I feel like they can sort of organize themselves then, right? So
See, I think Liv does it. I don't know. I have to look this up because it was very back heavy with the players. So like the really good players started on like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it would be like a natural round for them versus like when we first showed up. I mean, I messaged you. I was like, I don't even know who these guys' names are. Like as I was looking them up as they were coming through, and it was like, oh, this guy just used to be playing for Arizona State, and their season ended last week, so now he's on the Live Tour. And it was a lot of that early on, and then as you went forward, you got more and more of the recognizable players, which was great because I showed up a little late because I didn't feel like being there for 7 hours. So I kind of like the shotgun start. It's kind of a cool idea. It's very non-traditional, right? But I think it's kind of neat where on the last day there's like 4 holes left and anyone like there's not someone setting like a clubhouse
yeah,
score and then you have a guy who's got like 9 holes left still who's obviously going to win. Like it kind of makes it a little more interesting.
yeah.
On the first day it's not as exciting because it's the first day, but on the last day I have to because the tournament ended in a 4-way playoff, so I'm assuming that like with 1 hole to go that must have been pretty exciting seeing 3 or 4 guys with a shot to make a playoff all going on at the same time.
Yeah, and I guess from a spectator standpoint, there's benefits too, right? Because one of the downers of showing up to a professional golf event and being there early is there's the temptation to like, oh, should I go and get a good spot on the ninth green? But then I
Yeah.
am 90 minutes away from anyone even making it here. So I'm going to watch a big screen or like watch on my phone. And, but I don't want to be one of those people sprinting along fairways
Yeah.
to get from one place to another. So, every golf event I've attended in the past, you have that compromise. Like I know
Yeah.
this is a really good spot and it will pay off 2 hours from now, but I am literally just sitting in a field for a while
Yeah.
until some professional golfers make their way here.
I mean, as a golfer, I'm sure you hate it. I mean, I couldn't imagine Tiger Woods ever wanting to play like that. I mean, half of what made Tiger Woods so dominant on that last day is just every other golfer knowing that Tiger Woods is on still 3 holes behind them and he's not going to screw up.
Yeah.
That whole factor plays into
You
it.
could
But
also say even from the golf course design perspective, then they've put some thought into how you structure your round of like getting challenged at certain moments and the
yeah,
idea of creating a difficult 18 or sort of where you position those tough holes, and that the shotgun start kind of skews that. And
yeah, it makes you think differently as a golfer. I guess you have
yes,
to know where your holes are that you can strike and not strike a little
yeah,
quicker, I guess.
yeah. And I guess you could kind of you can spin that as a positive or a negative, because you could add whether some tactics in. Then if you're way behind, you try and start on some easier holes to try to put some scoreboard pressure on someone of like, well, you got 3 birdies in a row, but that is the section of the course you would expect the birdies to come on. And but I don't know, I don't have too strong of an opinion on it, but I think
Yeah.
I prefer the kind of more old fashioned purist approach.
I think why I think I like it though is a knock on Live, because I think it makes the Live Golf Tour more exciting because there isn't this high end level of talent, right? Where it's like you can make a tour that has a few decent players, maybe that might like be on the final pairing because they're better, but at the end of the day, there's just a lot of not so great players, so it makes it more interesting that anyone could have a chance running into the last few holes. Um, the teams aspect of it, I thought was dumb when they proposed it as like one of the selling points of the league, and I still think it's the dumbest thing ever. The names are stupid. The symbols are stupid. I think they care in the sense that they make an extra $1 million or
Oh,
3 million split three ways.
yeah, yeah,
But at the end of the day, I don't think they give an absolute shit about it.
yeah.
Like it's weird. And I don't know who knows the teams, and there was like two or three people that where we were like, oh man, the aces are looking rough today. And
Four
it's like,
aces,
what?
the four aces, yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
four aces like ran away with it last season, didn't they? But yeah, I mean, so you didn't get a feeling the Fireballs ended up winning at the weekend. You didn't throw
No.
your. If you had to pick, I agree with you on the logos. The logos to me look like like when you're playing fantasy baseball or like a fantasy sport, and there's like the logo creator on
Yeah.
ESPN or Yahoo,
100% is what it looks like.
and it's basically
That's a great call.
it's just taken you sort of like 3 minutes in a very basic logo creation software and gone like, well, we start with an
Yep.
S, so that's going to be our logo basically. If
Yep.
I had to, I mean, there's 12 teams now, so there's a lot of team names, but yeah, the Fireballs won at the weekend. The Four Aces were second, Ironheads were third, Stinger fourth, Ripper fifth,
So dorky. It's like the dorkiest names.
High Flyers, but spelled HYFLYERS. So they're cool because
Yeah.
because of how they spelt it.
How'd the range goats end up?
Oh, they finished eighth, just behind Torque. The Crushers
Torque. Yeah, that was another good one. Torque.
the Crushers in ninth, Smash in 10th, Cleeks in 11th, and Majestics in 12th. I mean, and the huge score discrepancy. I mean, like the Fireballs won, they were 25 under, and the Majestics were 4 under. Like, how do you have,
Wow.
like, that's a huge difference in score across a number of players. You would have thought they would be more tightly grouped.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I like the aspect of that it keeps every player wanting to play their absolute best, because even if you're 9 strokes off a lead with 4 holes to go, if you can get back 1 or 2 strokes, you might get your team to win. And I guess that's kind of cool. Again, it works better in a league where the players aren't so great. It gives you another thing to like kind of root for and watch for and make it a little more fun.
But at the
yeah.
same time, right? Yes, in principle, you're right. But if you played for the Majestics and you were, I mean, they were 15 shots. They finished 15 shots behind third place. So there was no point in the final round where any of them would have been thinking like this matters. And you could just make it's the same argument you could make in the PGA of like, yes, as a spectator, you maybe don't appreciate the guy going from 12th to 8th, but he does because he just made an extra $80,000. So these guys standing over their putts on the 17th and 18th, it's very easy as a spectator to be dismissive of like, well, all that means is he went from 4th to 3rd. Who really cares? He didn't win, but he cares because they give him a much bigger check. And it's, exactly the same argument. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see. Obviously, the PGA in the end has kind of copied LIV with they've introduced those new formats, which disappoints me. I have to say, part of it, I'm disappointed by the fact that you fought so hard to kind of maintain the integrity of kind of conventional golf, and now they've adopted there's some no-cut tournaments, and they do seem to be kind of rich getting richer in golf to a certain degree, and just tougher for smaller players to compete. I did see an interview with John Rahm the other day, and we've discussed in the past Sean McVay and his ability to recall plays. I've been a little bit dismissive of just how impressive I think that is, or unimpressive in my case. John Rahm claims that he can remember basically every golf shot he's hit from the last 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
And they put him to the
And not like Fitzpatrick where he's written it down.
no, no, and they put him to the test, but they didn't really put the podcast he was on. I think missed the
The
opportunity.
winning putt for the Masters.
Well,
Do you remember what it was?
this has always been my criticism of when people put Sean McVay to the test too, is they pick out kind of significant plays. Like I want to hear him recall. Like I want to hear Sean McVay tell me an incomplete
I've done this
pass.
for you though. I've showed you times where he's like made like a random one in like the third quarter of a game against the Lions.
They're random, but we picked up a first down. I want to hear it was 1st and 10 midway through the second at 7-7 and incomplete pass. That's the one I want to hear, and I want him to break down the exact play for that. Then I'll give more credence to it.
Then you'll say he's a robot.
The John Rahm one is the same. They only really tested him over they tested him from like the last event he was in, and to me, it doesn't stun me that someone could remember their most recent round pretty much. Like I feel like if I play a round of golf, you could ask me 4 days later, like, do you remember like what happened on the 7th hole? And I could probably tell you within sort of reasonable. The yardage element of it was pretty good. Like he's not just telling you, oh yeah, it was 5 shots. Like he is telling you, like I was 127 out, and I took my pitching wedge and drew it in, and like he's kind of really running through the whole the thought process and stuff. But then, yeah, I don't know. It both impressed me, but then I just don't know if I were a professional golfer. I feel like, because I saw a bit done with Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy and Spieth and a couple of others. There, they asked them on the spot to recall some of the most significant shots of their career, and yeah, it's unsurprising that they could do it pretty well. But like Rory McIlroy was still like, oh, I was 128 yards out on this, and I hit it within 4 feet of the hole. They told him he was wrong because he was 127 yards out. That seemed like a little bit too overly critical, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have to get some golfers on, and I want to put them. We'll say if we can get John Rahm on, I'm going to pick like a random second round from a tournament 6 years ago and say like, what was your third shot on the 7th hole? And I'm expecting to be blown away.
Yeah, maybe we can get the range goats out. Get some Bubba Watson and Tyler Gooch.
There's no way Bubba Watson could recall it. I'll say that now. There's some golfers, like I'm sure, like Bryson DeChambeau, I bet can, because he's just such a that approach he has to like how he's made himself better and stuff, and the sort of scientific data backed approach to everything. I'm sure he's remembering the yardage on every shot he's ever hit. But yeah, Bubba Watson, the guy who's never taken a golf lesson in his life, I very much doubt he's able to recall a shot from 6 years ago.
And I think just overall, they definitely are pushing the more fun aspect of it. So they had a huge interactive thing when you first went in, where you could do like a little chipping contest into the pool. You could do like they had the golf simulator. They had the longest putt challenge where they had like a 60 or 70-yard putt. They had like pickleball. You could go play pickleball if you wanted to. Which I don't know why you would go to watch the LIV Golf Tour and just go play pickleball instead.
Was it free?
Oh, fuck this shit. I'm gonna play pickleball. Yeah, well, it was free.
I mean, I guess you could argue maybe that's an insider tip for people. If you're in the Tucson area and you want to get a game of pickleball,
well, you need a ticket to get in.
Yeah, but what is it, $20 for the cheapest ticket?
I think so, something like that.
So $20 gets you unlimited pickleball for the day.
Yeah, it's true. And then the food and drinks was okay. A beer was $10, so average. Standard, I think, for a sporting event.
Yeah.
A mixed drink was like $15.
And again, this is where it just bothers me. It feels like they're missing a trick. money doesn't matter to them. Why aren't they
No.
just making everything? And yeah, you have to, as we said on the previous episode, you have that balance of, if it seems cheap, then that might put some people
Yeah.
off. You could have the super expensive section still, but just why wouldn't for the everything, like why couldn't, if you're not in the sort of VIP luxury section, I'd have beers at like $1 and just have, let's just, and then people would walk away and be like, I'm not a huge fan of Live, but that was a lot of fun. That was the cheapest day out I've had in a long time.
Yeah. And you get to, so the other thing too is after the match, or I guess after the day, all the players come back and you can get pictures and things with them. Like they have to come back and take pictures while they're like, because they can go back to the range. And if they go back to the range, they have to spend time, I think, like before they go taking pictures with fans and things
Did
like
you
that.
did
So
you
there's
have a picture taken with anyone?
No, we just took a picture of all of ourselves.
And okay, I remember the one
did see Greg Norman drive by.
Okay, thrilling. You did say that part of your ticket included some Live swag pack.
Oh, this is the best.
What was in the swag pack?
It was this is the best. So when we got there, that's all of us kept saying. It's like what like we didn't get swag. Like we went into they call it the birdie shack, and get swag. They said that the swag was the cloth bracelet they gave you that said "Live Golf" on it, that had a chip on it that they would scan for the number of drinks you were allowed to have, and that was the swag they gave us.
Wow. That's scandalous, actually.
Which then you couldn't even get off.
Yeah,
you gotta cut it off.
You gotta cut it off, so it's garbage at that point. That's actually genuinely scandalous.
Unless we missed something, because there was like 8 of us, and all of us were like, "Wait, this came with swag." And then someone said, "Like, no, I think the bracelet's swag." And I was like,
"Oh, okay."
No.
So you didn't ask anyone working there?
I think they said they asked, but maybe they didn't.
Okay.
I was taking secondhand info, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah. I mean, either way, if they're not putting the swag kind of front and center when you've been promised, you shouldn't have to awkwardly search it out. If you have been, if that's part of the advertising, the listed benefits, that's semi-scandalous to kind of have that included in the package and then not have it there.
We did make the only mistake we made was we went to the birdie shack, which is overlooking the last par 3, and there's like a bar there with a bunch of little tables you can sit and drink and watch. No food though, and you only got 3 drinks included. After that, you had to pay. For $35 or $40 more, we could have gotten the overlooking the 17th hole, which I think was a par 5, and that had food and all you could drink.
Oh yeah, that's a mistake.
I think initially the feeling was it's probably going to be more energy on like the par 3, because maybe they're like, people are going to think it's like waste management or something like that, so it'll be a little more fun. But then at the end of the day, it was actually pretty empty. Yeah. And then the 17th hole looked just as crowded, but people had like plates of food. We're like, you motherfuckers.
And unlimited drink.
Yeah, here I am eating a fucking hot dog. Because that was the other crappy thing, is like the concession stand food was terrible. Yeah. It was like bottom of the barrel baseball concession stand food.
Well, you were the first one of us to sell your soul, so.
Yeah. And now it's sold. So now, I've signed up. I'm a lifetime member. They're going to send me emails. I get to vote on the team names.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're an inaugural attendee, right, of the Live Experience.
I have to say, I think it's a 5-year commitment they've made here. I don't know how successful this is going to be.
Will you go again?
Yeah, I will definitely go next year, because I want to do the upgrade to the better section and see how that is.
Well, they've got you.
Yeah. But if it doesn't improve, like, I mean, the senior tour was way more fun.
But this is where they got you. This is LIV Golf marketing has got you wrapped around their finger, because next year they'll have like one higher. It's like, well, for $30 more, we could have had this. 7 years from now, you'll be spending like $19,000 a day to attend LIV Golf for one extra beer and a view of the 18th and the 3rd.
We'll see.
I guess the other big sporting news, well, we can make mention of the fact that Ireland beat England in rugby on Saturday and won the Grand Slam. We don't have to go into that in too much detail, but March Madness, something obviously in past years we've had former co-host Sam pick his bracket by randomly going through team names. We didn't have that this year, but he might have done better than anyone with any degree of expertise because it has been a tournament that has been full of upsets and surprises so far.
Would he have picked a team with Dick in the name of Fairleigh Dickinson, 16th
he'd,
ranked seed?
He'd have them winning the tournament. There's no doubt.
Yeah, so no perfect brackets left. And in fact, after Friday, which was, I think, the second day, or no, after the first day, there was only like 0.002 because Arizona had lost, who was a 2 seed. And then that was followed up by Fairleigh Dickinson, the 16 seed, beating Purdue, which then pretty much literally busted the remaining perfect brackets. So another year of no perfect brackets. And I am glad that this year was the first year I did not spend money on any brackets, because I got to the point where I said, why am I even doing this? Because I'd rather, if I'm going to have money on it, I'd rather have money on individual games that I can then root for that game in particular, versus having like 8 games going on and trying to root for different permutations of how they would come if this team won or that team lost and this team won. So I avoided the trap of wasting all of my money on brackets, and I think it paid off because I most likely would have had Arizona going pretty far.
Yeah, I didn't. I like you. This is the first time in a long time that I've had no brackets, and for similar reasons. And also, I just find I don't follow March Madness closely enough to kind of be tracking the bracket as it progresses. So I'm kind of like looking at the app. I'm watching the odd game, and obviously as it gets later in the tournament, I'm paying closer attention. But on the first couple of days of the tournament, I'm just kind of monitoring, like, oh, I have that 7 seed down by 10. That's not good, and it just seems like a completely wasted experience. But yeah, there is no chance that I would have picked an even remotely successful bracket, looking at everything that's happened. I mean, I guess for you, maybe you would have had Penn State, I assume, winning in the first round, so that would have helped you
Yeah,
out a little bit.
and they were playing well too. So I don't think that first round was a shock to that many people, because they had made it to the Big Ten championship. So
No, but that was the first time Penn State had won a game in March Madness since I think you were in college.
yeah,
So
wow, since the 70s.
But yeah, it's there's been some. I have watched the end of a few games. There's been a few. I mean, as per usual, really, but there's been some close, exciting finishes. So that's always a little bit of fun. And the bar I was in on the weekend, the games were on, so you're kind of trying to keep a little bit of an eye on it and see if that game's like a 2-point game with a minute to go. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do a March Madness bracket again. It's got to be
Well, speaking of games though, the one that I watched that just blew my mind was, I think it was the first day, it was Virginia. We're up 2.
when the player just lobbed the ball to midcourt, meaning like
Yeah.
just
Up
crazy.
2 with 3 seconds left, and tries like a Hail Mary pass to his player, and it gets intercepted, and they turn around and shoot the game-winning 3 to end the game and lose. Like, I don't think you let that player into the locker room.
So
I think you just tell him to just go home. Like, don't even come in this locker room, bro.
I haven't heard him interviewed, so maybe I might be wrong on this. The only thing I thought in the moment to give him the biggest benefit of the doubt is that he thought there was less time, that he thought it was kind of running down to maybe a second left or whatever. And in which case, sometimes that is the smart move of to
If you just
just
throw it that far, and even
yeah
if they get it, they're
they
not
have
going to have time to turn
yeah.
around and take a shot.
But he did that way too soon. Like he did that when they had time to set themselves up for a wide open shot. And yeah, that was just an embarrassing way to lose. In what the likely outcome would have been probably a jump ball if he just held on to it. And I'm assuming that Virginia was going to lose possession based on the action that he took, because that weird college rule where jump balls just alternate possessions. Or they were going to foul him. Like neither of those were catastrophic. The jump ball's not great, but it yeah, I mean that's you've put yourself on the pantheon of all-time dumbest March Madness plays, which that's tough. Like that's going to live with you. Like genuinely I think that's the tough thing. Most of these players are obviously not going to go on to play in the NBA. Most of them will not go on to play professional basketball. The thing I think you can hope the most for is that you are just in your job 5, 6, 7 years from now in real estate, and someone's like, "Oh, where'd you go to college?" And he gets to say like, "Oh, I went to the University of Virginia. Like I was actually on the basketball team." Like, "Oh, no way. Like when did you graduate?" And he'll say like 2024. Like, "Oh, you must have been on that team where that like crazy play where that one kid just lobbed the ball up and just gave away possession and they lost." And you're like, "Yeah, that was me." Like that's gonna haunt you forever.
Yeah, I mean, so 7 seconds left. He turned the ball over, so it was not as if there was one or
No,
2 seconds. There was 7 seconds, and when they made the three, there was still 2 seconds left. So that's like how much time they still had. Uh, and what's crazy too is that was another example of the new thing they do now, especially in college, is when a team is up by 4 or more points, or yeah, like 4 or more, instead of letting the other team potentially shoot a three,
they
they'll just
foul.
instantly foul them
Yeah.
and give them the two, and that's what they did. So they were actually up. They were up four, and then fouled the guy. He made both free throws. Then they were up two, and then they turned it over on the next play. So that was a 5 point swing in the
Wow.
matter of 3 seconds.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't like it. Well,
I,
one, I think it's kind of like cheating the rules, which is
yeah.
annoying. I hate when like sports find loopholes kind of to do these types of things.
Yeah.
And two, it just takes away. It just makes the game boring.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things they talk about. It's where cricket gets it right, right? You have the spirit of the game kind of element that comes into it, and that's clearly against the spirit of the game.
It should be
I
three. If it's an intentional foul
Foul,
under 2 minutes, it should be three shots.
yeah, which would even
Easy
then
fix.
people might still do it because they might, you know, just think like, well, there's if we foul the right guy, there's still a good chance they miss the free throws. But I I get it in situations like NBA teams do it a decent amount in situations where it's like they're up three and there's like 2 seconds left. So then you can make the argument of like, okay, this is the smartest way for us to defend. Although you run the risk that you foul if they take a three, and that always I think is the funny. Like there's that little bit of kind of gamesmanship going on. You see the guy who then like tries to jack up a three because he's expecting the foul to come. He's not fouled and he's just like throwing the ball away with a terrible attempt. But yeah, I don't think no one wants to watch a game where the final 2 minutes are literally just teams swapping free throws. Like that's you may as well just say, hey, if a March Madness game is within 3 points with 2 minutes to go, we just go to like a penalty shootout style free throw competition. Like, and this team gets to start with like 3 free throws up, first to 10. I would enjoy that experience more.
Yeah, and I guess you know, Arizona not doing so well for my side here, and they're the first team in NCAA tournament history to ever lose to a 15 seed twice.
That's the Duke curse. It's the Duke curse. That's it's a sports program in
Well, the first one was in 1993, so I don't think I can take credit for that one.
no, but the second one you definitely can. That
And I think I saw a good one. They're like one of the first teams to lose to like an 11 seed, 12 seed, 13 seed, 14 seed, and 15 seed. So not much to talk on the NFL front. I mean, everyone I think is still just waiting for the Aaron Rodgers deal to drop. But of course, being Aaron Rodgers, there's issues. He's come out and said a bunch of stupid things. I don't think we've discussed that. I don't really even feel like talking about with his whole when he went into his dark chamber thing and trying to, he just loves to hear himself talk at this point. And I hope the Jets know what they're getting themselves into, and I don't think they do because they're the Jets. But this just looks like a nightmare waiting to happen.
To me, I saw Kirk Cousins interviewed. I think it was on a Barstool podcast, which
Oh boy.
but he came across super well. He was talking about when he left. It might actually have been on Pardon My Take, which, one of the biggest podcasts, certainly sports podcasts out there. But he was talking about when he left Washington and how he kind of wanted to stay in Washington, but he also wanted to test free agency so he could see, like, his ideal scenario was know what the market value was and stay in Washington. And he told Washington that, and then they went out and traded for Alex Smith, and he then said to them, like, why'd you do that? I was considering staying. And they're like, well, we couldn't wait for you. We couldn't wait for you and then have you decide to go somewhere else. And then we have no quarterback. And to his credit, he was like, that makes sense. Like, I understood it. Like, that, I get why they did that. And to me, there's just such a maturity there in understanding that, well, yeah, they also have to put their plans in place. And this isn't just all about you, and that they have a future as a team once you are gone, versus the Aaron Rodgers approach, where he is just constantly aggrieved by every little thing that a team does. And if they aren't doing absolutely everything that he wants them to do, that they're
Yeah.
they're mistreating him and insulting him. And it becomes so tiresome to listen to. And yeah, having to listen to him break down his 48 hours in a dark hole, saying that he went into it expecting to retire and then came out of it deciding that he wanted to keep playing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just so self-involved at a certain moment in time,
Yeah.
and you're trying to spin it off as being, like,
Enlightened.
yeah. And it's so annoying.
Yeah. So I guess some of the major signings since the last time we talked. So the Lions signed CJ Gardner-Johnson. The Cowboys traded for Brandon Cooks. Wasn't a bad deal for them. Patriots get Mike Gesicki. That's a pretty big one. Bears signing Orlando Brown Jr., so one of the best tackles, at a pretty reduced rate, which this was a pretty good story. I don't know if you had seen, but I think he's going to make $16 million per year. And last year, the Chiefs had offered him $23 million a year, and he had turned it down, saying he wanted to wait because he thought he could get more money, and ended up losing about a good $7 million a year by waiting. Miles Sanders going to the Panthers. So pretty much the Eagles have disassembled their team a lot. I mean, we just named two of their best players there in Gardner Johnson and Miles Sanders, both gone. They did sign Fletcher Cox back, but that's about one of the only signings they have. And the Patriots getting Gesicki and Juju Smith-Schuster. So trying to upgrade their offense with second-grade talent. That always works well.
And Bill Belichick and Juju Smith-Schuster seem like a pairing that will really get along.
And I guess the one we didn't talk about is we spent a little time talking about the Saints and how they might win the crappiest division. Well, the Bucks, they said, whoa, wait a second. We're upgrading our QB situation. We're bringing in the one and only Baker Mayfield to come play for us.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, we mentioned him briefly, right, when I said there was a possibility that he would go to the 49ers. I'm happier with Sam Darnold than I would be with Baker Mayfield. And in a sense, from the Buccaneers, like, I think we know who Baker Mayfield is now. And I don't think he's as bad as he's been.
Hey, he's the State Farm guy.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I think he's had some really bad performances over the last 18 months.
Progressive, sorry. I forget which one it is.
His shoulder injury obviously did not help that in that final season with the Browns. But still, we know who he is. I would have, if I'd been the Bucks, I would have rather signed Sam Darnold because I'm not entirely certain that we know exactly who he is yet.
Oh, I think, come on, come
No,
on. We know who Sam Darnold is.
I
He's a
don't think
loser.
I don't think we do. I think there's the issue I have here is I'm going to say I feel like Sam Darnold has the possibility of turning into a pretty good quarterback in the right scenario. I guess the qualifier there is I don't think the Buccaneers is the right scenario now for any quarterback. So this is a little bit of the issue. Is like I don't think, and this is why I'm going to then feel sorry for Baker Mayfield is because I think it's still going to be just a disaster in Tampa Bay, and it's going to make him look even worse because now he is the guy following in the footsteps of Tom Brady, and things are going to go bad really, really quickly.
Well, I don't think they've gone well for him anywhere. So I think this is going to be more of this. I think it's honestly going to be almost exactly how it was in the Browns, where people think he's a better QB than he is, and he's going to try probably harder than he should to do things that he can't. And they're just going to be a below 500 team. But I think that's part of Baker Mayfield's problem. I think if he realized the type of quarterback he can be in the NFL, he'd be a decent quarterback. But he still thinks he's playing at Oklahoma against, subpar defensive teams that he can run 50 points up on. And you're not going to do that in the NFL.
Yeah, it's tough though as an undersized quarterback. Like he really needs to be almost a game manager based on his talent level, but you don't get undersized game managers, right? Like when you're small, you have to be explosive either with your feet
Why
or
can't he be
through
like
the.
Russell Wilson?
I
Old
mean,
Russell Wilson.
yeah, I was like, I think he can be like Russell Wilson. I
Why can't
think.
he be like Drew Brees?
Well, Drew Brees was. I mean, Drew Brees was an exceptional talent. I don't think that's
Wasn't
you know.
Baker the number one draft pick?
Yeah, but he wasn't. Yeah, no, but I mean, why can't you be like a Hall of Fame quarterback? I think that's like when I my one appearance in goal and when I was in high school and the goalkeeping coach told me like it's easy, all you have to do is stop the ball from going in the net. Like it's like why can't you just be like that Hall of Fame quarterback? There's my coaching advice for you. You see what Drew Brees does is try and do a little bit more of that and try to do a lot less of what you have been doing.
The only other thing I have, Eddie, is Creed 3 came out, and I've been really wanting to go back to the movies. There just haven't been many movies worth going back to watch. But I have never seen any of the other Creeds before. So I spent this weekend watching Creed 1 and Creed 2. I have to say, great movies. Really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I've never seen any of the Creed movies. I
Good,
am
great sports movies. I mean, yeah, I like Michael B. Jordan, so that was a plus. And you
uh,
get a little less of Sylvester Stallone. I mean,
see,
he's still one of the main actors,
I'm standing in solidarity with Sly. The fact that he kind of
but
got
he's on board with 1 and 2.
yeah, just not three.
Yeah.
As
Well,
possible.
I mean, I think everyone forgets, there was like Rocky 5, 6, and 7 that people just seem to like ignore existed that he really, really pushed for that were some of the worst movies ever made.
No, but here's the thing: is like he's in a unique position in terms of how possessive he can feel over the Rocky franchise, right? Like this isn't just he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. Like he's not just the face of the franchise. It was his creation. He had to, work hard. He like sold his dog, didn't he, to like help fund Rocky in the first place, or some weird story that never really made sense to me because I don't know. Like, it's not like you're selling a $300,000 dog. Like I don't know how that's making the difference. I mean, I guess he probably couldn't afford to have the dog was the real issue, but I I can understand taking it away from him is not really fair. Like that should remain his in kind of in perpetuity. But I get it. I'm sure it's good. I mean, the Rocky franchise was good. Boxing lends itself to being a good sporting movie. Like it's hard to name like every high production value boxing movie is a good sports movie.
Yeah, there. I think I'm sure there are actually few really bad ones, but you're right that a lot of good sports movies are boxing movies.
Like all the high profile boxing movies I can think of. You obviously have
Cinderella Man,
Cinderella Man, Ali.
classic. Yeah.
You know, like that.
What's the one with Christian Bale and Amy Adams and well, I can't think of the main fighter is in that.
I mean, well, Million Dollar Baby, is a good movie. With Christian Bale.
The Fighter. There we go.
Okay.
With Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The Mickey Ward one.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think. I mean, and fighting movies in general, it's obviously spun off now more into like the whole combat sports overall. You get the kind of MMA movies. It's just easy. It's an easier storyline, right? Because it's 1v1. It's very clear. You don't really have to understand the sport too much to kind of appreciate who's winning or losing. There's the physical impact of it, which kind of adds to the drama. It makes sense. It's an easier story to tell than to tell a really good football movie. But yeah, I will boycott Creed 3.
Well, you should watch Creed 1. Creed 1 was very good.
I'll also say, and I know I'm in a small minority here, I find Michael B. Jordan to be immensely annoying.
So, I think he's a good actor.
He's a good actor, and I've enjoyed things that he's been in. He gets way too much credit. People be like, I love The Wire. He was a small character in The Wire for a brief period of time. Like, it's not as if Michael B. Jordan was the reason you liked The Wire.
The next sentence you say was he was not that good in Friday Night Lights, no. I'm going to fucking end this podcast right now.
He was good in Friday Night Lights. But he doesn't crack the top 20 characters for me in Friday Night Lights.
What? The top 20? I don't think they even highlighted 20 players in the whole show.
Well, I'm not just players. Like Coach Taylor is obviously above him.
Oh my God. This is blasphemy.
I'm going to run through very quickly. This is going to be characters who I think I enjoyed more than Michael B. Jordan's character.
If you say Buddy Garrity, I'm also going to end this fucking podcast. If you're going to pro Buddy Garrity me here over Michael B. Jordan.
So I'm going to do this kind of in no particular order. Because,
dude, I can't. If I get Voodoo Tatum'd here, I'm gonna be so pissed.
So I'm gonna put Coach Taylor ahead, and he'd be number one. I'll put Tammy Taylor, his wife, also ahead.
Oh, very annoying as a character.
Slightly
terribly annoying.
I'll put Tim Riggins clearly ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's a Hall of Famer.
Landry, clearly ahead.
Landry Clark? You just Jesse Plemons over Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah. Matt Saracen, clearly ahead. So I'm at Smash Williams is ahead.
Okay.
We're getting thin here. See, I would have probably put Buddy Garrity ahead, but I can't now. Lila has to be ahead.
Oh, she's the worst.
Lila's
the worst.
Tyra, I'm putting ahead.
Tyra, I can respect. She did what she wants. Lila hooked up with her handicapped boyfriend's best friend a week after being in the hospital.
He was done. He'd moved on to wheelchair rugby. He was done.
He had barely gotten out of his coma, and she's making out with his best friend on the side of the highway.
I will say it's true. Okay, controversial one to put ahead. Mrs. Saracen.
The senile grandmother? This is unreal. You have lost any chance we ever had of getting Michael B. Jordan on by saying that the senile grandmother's character was better than Vince Howard.
Honestly, I gotta admit, Mac McGill, the racist coach.
I mean, you're missing a few. You're missing like Luke Cafferty, if you like him better. He was the running back with Vince, who also played, I think, D-back. I mean, you're missing Julie Taylor. I think Julie Taylor is a top 3 for me.
I found her really annoying.
Oh, I thought she was great.
I will agree this. She is more important to the overall story arc of the TV show. But so she's a more significant character. But
I mean, how can you not like a character who is a dork and doesn't date anyone and then dates Matt Saracen and then dumps him instantly for some Swedish guy that works a summer job as a 23-year-old at the local pool? Instant ditch.
Because if we were doing characters I like, then there's people on here like Billy Riggins would be above Vince Howard.
This is unreal.
that's but yeah, it's true actually looking through the full cast list.
What about JD McCoy, the douchiest quarterback ever to set foot in Texas? And his stupid father, who suddenly like got to like run the team after a week.
Oh yeah. See, this is the other thing. I mean, I know you fairly recently rewatched Friday Night Lights, didn't you? It wasn't that long ago.
Probably it was during COVID.
Yeah, it's been a while since so there's certain story arcs because they all kind of they kind of blend into each other after a while of, wow, we got this new kid from some other school and we don't like him at first and now he's our best player and we all like him. Like that felt like pretty much every season of Friday Night Lights, versus like you had to have the combination of this kid's come from somewhere else, we all hate him, like, oh, it turns out we really like him after some moments made us bond, and then hey, there's this kid from our school who we think really sucks, actually doesn't suck quite as much as we thought he did. Like those are the two storylines in every season.
I gotta say, Eddie, you've literally named every player but Jason Street. That tells me all I need to know about you.
Well, Jason Street, it's one of the more interesting story arcs, obviously, but because he's...
What about his friend that does the murder ball? What's that guy's name? Oh shit!
Like the semi-bitter guy who tells him to suck it up, and that his girlfriend's definitely gonna... Yeah.
I thought you were saying told him to suck it off.
And he said, "I can't anyway. You're a paraplegic. It doesn't work." But
what was that guy's name?
The issue with Jason Street is because it's only season 1. I think his impact on the overall show is less significant.
Although he's in for most of it.
Yeah, he kind of reappears. He wheels his way in every once in a while, and you get this like update on his life. But
that's terrible. That's so bad.
Like you don't. I mean, he goes away to New York or whatever, and becomes a sports agent. Isn't that what he does, or something?
He like wants to be a sports agent. Yeah,
but I don't. I just feel like he's kind of a peripheral figure at that point. Whereas you have the core cast, because you're also trying to compare then, because even Vince Howard, right? It's a fairly limited involvement.
He's only, I think, 2 seasons.
Yeah,
or maybe that was 3. That could have been 3.
So you're comparing him with like Tim Riggins, who's in it all. You know, like there's a handful of characters where it's like they're ever present, versus, okay, this guy has a season or 2. How do you rank? Like you can't. Tim Riggins has to be.
He took Landry Clark, the dorkiest football player of all time. I mean, he could barely make it as a kicker.
I didn't really even make it as a kicker, but I mean, I don't know. But okay, look, I mean, Michael B. Jordan, biggest star to have come out of Friday Night Lights. Although
There's a few big ones though.
Yeah, including, I mean, Jesse Plemons,
Jesse
arguably,
Plemons
is
is
the
really
second.
big. Yeah.
He's the second biggest.
Yeah. Or Kyler Chandler.
Kyle.
What did I say?
Kyler is,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I don't know why I said
the
Kyler.
extra in season 2. I mean, Kyle Chandler, he had I can feel like Kyle Chandler's kind of disappeared. Like he had,
No, he's still in a lot of stuff. He was in Bloodline. That was a huge show on Netflix for like 3 seasons.
yeah. I don't know. Jesse
He was in
Plemons
that
is
party game comedy.
Jesse Plemons is bigger.
What about Taylor Kitsch?
Now he had his moment in the sun, and that disappeared pretty quickly.
No, he just made a pretty good comeback. He was just in what was the movie? The Terminal List. So he was in the Terminal List with Chris Pratt, and now they're doing a spin-off that he's the main character, I think, for Amazon. So he's gonna have his own show
On Amazon. You're a huge optimist.
I mean, Amazon's pretty big though.
Well, no, Amazon's huge.
Yeah, you know what? I might be a huge optimist, Eddie, but at least I'm not picking fucking Buddy Garrity over Vince Howard on Friday Night Lights ranking list.
Buddy Garrity deserves to, again, ever present in all the seasons, has a greater involvement in several key storylines, and I think also gets credit for being one of the select few same actor, same character, movie to TV show.
Well, there's only 2.
Yeah, and they both benefit from that. Him and Tammy Taylor. The fact that you've got the same actor, I like that a lot. Obviously, you couldn't have done that with the players because it would have been weird to have like a 42-year-old playing a high school quarterback. But yeah, I don't. Not top 20. I will take that back because there's actually fewer key characters than I envisioned. Not top 10 though. I'll stand by not top 10.
God, I can't believe that. That is blasphemy.
I can't remember. What's the key Vince Howard storyline?
Well, it starts off that he's like gonna go to juvie if he can't get his act together, and then that's who he like builds the team off of.
Because I can remember when I look at all these other key players, I can remember all of their, like Vince Howard is the one I forget. Like I know Tim Riggins, the bad boy with a golden heart. I get it. Difficult upbringing. Got that. Jason Street, paralyzed. Matt Saracen, not super talented, works hard, takes care of his grandmother. Dad in the army is an asshole. Landry Clark, super nice guy.
His dad was the biggest asshole. Yeah. Like I get that they were trying to show like what war and being like a lifetime in the military can do to someone, but man, that guy was a prick.
Yeah. No, he's a candidate for worst dad in TV show history in some respects. But Landry Clark, goofy dork, somehow ends up being the kicker, murders a guy in the TV show, moves on from the fact that he murders someone really quickly. That one I remember. Smash Williams, super talented, big ego, does steroids. I remember that one. Really, it gets down to Vince Howard. I don't remember the key details of him. So
we're missing a huge annoying character as well. I can't believe this is the tangent we've gone off on. But I forgot all about Becky. Becky comes in, I think, in season 4 when Tim Riggins hooks up with her mother, and then he ends up sleeping in their trailer in their backyard. And there's like this weird relationship between them. Oh, that is, I forgot all about that one. And then she's also with, I think she's with Vince Howard too. It's so weird. Oh man, that was a weird character. I forgot about that one.
It's a TV show that at some point I will revisit. Golden era of TV. So golden era of TV shows for me. And again, like I mostly watch them through DVDs. But yeah.
I mean, I was just watching CNN the other day, and they do like, like the 2000s, and it was like a whole episode, basically the golden age of television. And they were just running through these shows, and I was like, oh my God, these are so good back then.
No, and look, we've got great TV on now. I mean, at this
It's different.
at this very moment, we probably don't. But in the last like 3 or 4 years,
Well,
yeah,
that's unarguably wrong, but
is
like the
it?
quality of television, yes, the quality of television right now, it's different. It's a
No,
different
no.
type of television.
Finish that sentence because you haven't finished that sentence. The quality
What
of television now is.
is of like a not even of the same caliber as it was back then.
You think it's
Like the show Friday Night Lights, when you rewatch it, you're like, man, this is some dumb shit, but it is amazingly entertaining. Whereas now shows are like very intricate, very detailed. The writing on it is like 3 levels above any writing from like Friday Night Lights or even a show like Lost, which was one of the shows that people would say back in the day was like so well intertwined and everything.
in the first season or
It's
two? Yeah.
different. It's more like television now is more like longer format movies.
But I would argue, and we will discuss the new season of Ted Lasso at some point, and they aren't the same show in terms of what their kind of goal is. One's more of a comedy, it's lighthearted and stuff, but I don't think Ted Lasso is a better TV show than Friday Night Lights.
What do you define, how are you defining this?
I don't think the writing is
Like, are you saying
superior.
like acting?
Well,
Are you saying like writing? Like,
acting, no. I mean, look at the list. We look at the actors who come out. It goes back to it. Who came out of Friday Night Lights and
but watch an episode, Eddie. Go back and watch like season 3,
look,
episode 7 of
look.
Friday Night Lights.
You know me. How I probably watch a YouTube clip of Friday Night Lights twice a month. So I get my weekly dose of Friday Night Lights. Like don't I go down the occasional Friday Night Lights rabbit hole and I'll spend 45 minutes watching, random YouTube clips. I agree with you. It's not always the best acting ever. And yeah, some of the storylines are stupid. And also, I think the biggest fix you would have if you went back and made it again is the attention to detail from like the football perspective. Like the fact that they literally will have like, and we discussed this on previous episodes, but they'll have like first down on their own 30, and then the next down is like second and 10 from their own 15. And it's like, did we miss a series of like what's happened?
Yeah.
Like none of this makes sense. And also the reliance on late game drama. But that's kind of, it would be boring to show a high school football team that won every game by 50 points. So I get it, but I don't know. I don't think it's, and I also wouldn't put. I think Friday Night Lights is one of the best TV shows of that period, but I wouldn't put it in the kind of. It's the best TV show from an entertainment standpoint. It's not a best TV show from, like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going toe to toe with The Wire.
No, and that's kind of what I'm saying. So like there were shows like The Sopranos and The Wire back then, and everyone would marvel at how well everything was done in the production of those shows.
Hot take. Some of The Sopranos, when you go back and watch it, is some of the acting is pretty terrible. The sound effects that they have sometimes, like they have people hitting each other and it's like cartoonish, like pow, pow, pow sound effects that they've thrown in on top. And then there's also, again, like some storylines that just didn't need to be there in the later seasons that they just kind of, that you could trim the fat on a little bit. But I don't know. I don't feel like television now is better than television in 2006, 2007.
I think the production has gotten much better.
Yeah, I mean, technology's advanced. It's way easier. Like the cost of.
But I think it's more than that. Like like now there's like writing teams that are spending like months and years writing shows. Like think about how quickly a show returns. It doesn't return the next season. It takes multiple seasons because they have to go and write.
Lazy
and there's
fucks.
There's like months and months of filming. Like how quickly do you think an episode of Friday Night Lights is filmed? Like some of those you watch, they probably did that in an afternoon.
No, but I think there's an element there of. I think these are cushy jobs for writers. Like you start writing for Ted Lasso, and it's like that's a 18-month writing period to write. Give me a fucking break to write. Tenet. There's
You're picking on Ted Lasso a lot here because you've got a good one to pick on.
well, I don't watch. I mean, at the moment, if I think of the TV shows I'm watching currently on television, The Last of Us, really, really enjoyed it. If it takes The Last of Us season 2 years to come out, we've got issues. That's not because their production values are so high.
It won't be out till 2025.
Well, then that's a joke. That's not production. That's just people are lazy, and it's a cushy job. That's just
Wow.
that's
I
just
don't think that's because people are lazy.
the production team and the writing team get to be employed by The Last of Us then for a decade to make 3 seasons versus Sopranos. You were churning it out.
No, they weren't every year.
No, but it wasn't every 18 months.
It kind of was.
No, because it wasn't on TV for 14 years. I don't know. I think there's an element there where we kind of justify the slow return of television shows, which I think sometimes is hurt when they're not released kind of like episodically over the course of like week by week. Sometimes they're hurt by that, where it's like they dump all of the shows on the same day, and then like, well, season 2 is not going to be out for a long time. It's like, well, you're not helped by the fact that previously you would have already been making season 2 midway through season 1 airing. That would have been kind of, like you. But yeah, I don't know. I think people are lazier. And I do think
I don't think people are lazy. From what I've heard, like, I mean, you look at Game of Thrones and how long they would film for, and that they would be on set for like 18 hours a day. I think that's being lazy. I think it's just there's so much more expectations that the quality has to be better in both
Game of Thrones,
the writing and
Game of Thrones is kind of
unique.
Game of Thrones is
and then the
unique.
Production. Like there's so many different aspects now to it. Whereas, like even the special effects component now, it takes 6 months for them to put that back into shows.
I don't buy that totally. You can go and watch
that's because there's a shortage now.
You can go and watch like the Corridor YouTube channel, and they make pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say it's TV or movie top quality special effects in a short period of time, but I do think there's people justifying their existence by being slow in what they do. And I do also think there's a lot of actors who want to talk about how grueling the process is in order to make them appear more sympathetic. Like, oh, you need to feel sorry for me on those 14-hour days I worked on Game of Thrones. Like, no, ignore the $15 million paycheck I got for 3 months' work. No. You need to talk. Let's focus. I had to stand in the cold in Ireland while someone else held me an umbrella, got me coffee, stuck my hands between their ass cheeks to keep them warm. Like, whatever it is you had to do. And we have to focus on, oh my God, it's so hard and so challenging. But I think Game of Thrones...
It's actually Northern Ireland. Thank you very much.
Okay. But I think as much as you may think I'm picking, like I was going for the low-hanging fruit by picking on Ted Lasso as the comparison, a show that I like, I think you're taking the low-hanging fruit in Game of Thrones being the counter to, well, of course it takes a long time, because that is kind of unique, right? Like most TV shows are not Game of Thrones.
Lord of the Rings.
If we're just going to stick to this genre of TV show, then yeah, that's not a fair comparison. Surprisingly enough, there wasn't a lot of special effects in The Wire, but that wasn't because they weren't investing in special effects. Just didn't need it to show like a Baltimore police department. Weren't a lot of dragons, as it turns out.
Well, speaking of special effects, have you watched the new season of Mandalorian yet? I know you were on board previously. Are you off Mando?
I'm not off Mando, but I've yet to watch the...
Okay.
I have to admit, like, obviously sports take up a lot of my TV viewing time. And as I've mentioned previously I've been running through Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm up to season 14. So that's been it's been a fair amount of... Now, I will say there's some episodes are not on Disney Plus, that they've been taken down for controversial reasons and
Controversy.
yeah, so like you will see a season sometimes where it's like, oh, seasons episodes 6, 7, and 8 are just not there, and it's like, okay, I guess I won't know what's going on. But even then, I gotta say, I feel like that's a show that has tailed off slightly in a lot of ways. But a podcast I enjoy. If we want to plug another podcast, I do actually quite like their podcast discussing the TV show, which is rare because most podcasts where they have the actors discussing the TV show, like the Office podcast, the Office Ladies, or whatever it is, I would rather have my ears literally set on fire than have to listen to an episode of that. The Always Sunny podcast is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, and there's just like something like you made your money off of the show.
Yes.
Like, just move on.
And I do think that's
and I get, I'm sure what's her, like Jenna Fisher, that's probably not why she's doing it.
No.
But the other ones, that's why they're doing it. And you can't tell me otherwise. No, we just want to reminisce about the greatest time of our lives and make money while doing it.
But then that's also kind of sad because that would be like if our podcast was about like us being in high school. If you see what I mean? Like no, let's keep making a podcast of the best times of our lives. I'm not saying that high school was, but like there's that certain element of, okay, move on and do new things versus kind of dwell in the past. I think the other difference is because, Always Sunny is still an ongoing project. Listening to them talk about the show is more interesting because they also discuss like how that ties into like how the show's evolved. The other thing that's different is they're the creators of the show and the main writers of the show. So that's also different to listening. Like Ricky Gervais doing an Office podcast with, I don't know, some components of the US show would be more interesting to me than just some actors who had parts and who, yes, maybe eventually spun themselves into some writing credits and like production, like
or directed an episode,
and like whatever the fuck that means. Like if like that's one of those things people lose their minds of, like an actor also directing. I feel like I could direct something tomorrow with absolutely.
Add it to the list.
I'm not saying I could be Steve.
Never step foot on a movie or TV set ever, but he could direct tomorrow. Add it to the fucking list.
I'm not saying I could be Steven Spielberg. I'm pretty sure I could direct an episode of The Office. I don't know. Assuming everyone else around me was entirely capable and knew what they were doing, like that I'm not starting from scratch with the staff I have around me, I'm pretty sure I could manage it.
Oh man, this is so great.
And again, that's not me complimenting my own capabilities. I just don't have a lot of respect for being.
Yeah, but it kind of is.
It's genuinely. I think you could direct. Like, I know it's not supposed to be an insult to you, what I think of your capabilities.
Oh, thanks. Even I could direct it. Oh, thanks, Eddie.
I'm just saying, I don't think being a director of The Office or like is some incredible achievement. I think I could do a single episode, and you'd probably notice. You'd probably notice, but I don't think you'd be like, well, this show's gone down the shitter really fast. You'd be like, oh, that was a weird.
Yeah, not any more than the last season went down the shitter anyway.
Yeah, I could have handled that better.
All right, well, with another thing on Eddie's I could easily do list, I think we call it a day. Eddie, is this? Can we cut, Eddie? Is this as director? Are we allowed to cut now?
Well, I have more directorial involvement in the podcast than you do, so one day we can do the rankings. Speaking of ranking Friday Night Lights players, we can do a rankings of the stuff I think I could easily do, and I'll let you judge how realistic the different things that have been mentioned on the podcast so far are.
Great. Can't wait. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.